San Diego story because the Holiday Bowl has been played in the city for more than 40 years.
Mhm.
Most of its history, of course, at Qualcomm Stadium, Jack Murphy, etc., in Mission Valley. For a brief period during construction, the pandemic, without really another facility, they went to Petco Park. We've had those games right here on San Diego Sports 760. Well attended, good atmospheres, relatively good games. After 2 games at Petco, the game is moving back to Mission Valley to Snapdragon Stadium, which is presumably a huge win for San Diego State, a marquee event in a 35,000 seat stadium. You could see a program like Florida State, Clemson, Notre Dame, USC, Washington, potentially here in 2024. So a huge win for Snapdragon Stadium at San Diego State with the Holiday Bowl moving from downtown to Mission Valley.
So the Holiday Bowl has technically been at Petco Park for 3 years. The first year, the game didn't even get played because UCLA's incompetence. And then the last 2 years, I know you've broadcasted there and done the games.
Correct.
How would you, I guess, rate the Holiday Bowl experience at Petco Park?
I thought it was really good. My caveat was the playing field. Because the first year when they sodded the infield dirt, it was not done properly. And I don't know all the terminology there, but you had 2 like first-round caliber quarterbacks, Drake May, Bo Nix. Were they both taken in the first round?
Bo Nix was. Drake May was. Absolutely
so
was.
You had 2 first-round quarterbacks a year before they go in the first round playing on I don't even know how to describe the field. Not good field conditions.
It was less than ideal conditions.
It was honestly, it was remarkable that there wasn't something significant that came out of it because you had this great quarterback matchup. It was a very good game decided by 1 point, I think.
Well, Caleb Williams didn't play this year. Well, for obvious reasons.
No, but his backup threw for like 5 touchdowns.
Who was the other quarterback? What team did they play? It was Louisville and USC.
Yeah, SC Louisville. But the SC quarterback was unbelievable in that game.
Yeah, like sophomore.
To the point where he's competing for the job this year. Anyway, the point is this. Crowds were good. Atmosphere was very good. But at the end of the day, you have to remember this too. Again, the field conditions were an issue and probably a significant one. At the end of the day, and it's a credit to the Padres and Peter Seidler for, kind of allowing for the Holiday Bowl to be there temporarily, but it's a baseball stadium.
Mm-hmm.
You've got now a modern day football stadium. So with the availability of Snapdragon Stadium, it just makes sense to go from baseball stadium to football stadium, I would think, from the Holiday Bowl's perspective.
And this was, I would assume, the dream and goal and hopes once Snapdragon Stadium got built, right? Is that in the future, they hope to host bowl games there, right? Like that.
I'm sure it was one of dozens of events they would want to host.
But like if you had a whiteboard and you said, all right, goals for Snapdragon Stadium, they've checked off a lot. MLS team, check. NWSL team, check. Right? Rugby there, check. They have, obviously college football, Aztecs, check. They also concerts, check. They've had
dirt shows,
monster truck, check. They've played lacrosse out there, check.
I mean, they've had international soccer. Manchester United's played there.
Yeah, multiple soccer events, check. I think the next on the box is to check off was bowl games. And the Holiday Bowl is a big bowl game to get, I think personally, because this town, that's the only bowl game they have now. The Poinsettia Bowl went away long ago with Qualcomm. And Holiday Bowl, once Qualcomm became obsolete and they tore that thing down, it was like there was a brief little time there kind of scared of like, where's the Holiday Bowl going to play? And thankfully, Eric Grupner, Peter Seidler, and the Padres stepped up and got it at Petco Park. But you saw just like, while the event there was great, already downtown, the parade, everything, it's all there. It's perfect location. Interesting how that is. And
what's the interesting part about that?
That I'm talking about like NFL wise, like stadium.
Oh, the location
here and how that didn't work out in San Diego. Anyway, everything was great except for the playing field. And if the playing field's not great, that's a problem because that's like kind of the most important thing is to have a good playing field.
Yeah, that and the other issue with it, and this has nothing to do with Petco Park. It's
size,
a ballpark issue.
Size of it.
No, not size. Because Snapdragon's actually smaller. It's that when you sit behind home plate, you're nowhere near the field. So you've got this
Dimensions, that's what I
wide
meant.
portion of the seating bowl that isn't desired seating, where you go to a football stadium like Snapdragon Stadium and everything's set up for a 100-yard football field.
it's perfect,
where Petco, you're cutting the thing in a different manner, and it's just not seamless. Again, they made it work. It was a good event. I was there for back-to-back years. They did a nice job with it. They spent a lot of money to outfit Petco Park for football. I don't know if they got the return on it or not, but from San Diego State's perspective, and I don't know what this means, by the way, for the Aztecs long term. Next 2 years, the contract is this: ACC opponent against a 2023 Pac-12 team. So any team that was in the Pac-12 in 2023 can play in the Holiday Bowl.
Okay.
But when this bowl deal comes up in 2 years, I wonder if there could be some type of cutout for a San Diego State or a Mountain West, especially with less power leagues. San Diego State played in this game in the 80s one time, so it's not unprecedented. So I wouldn't be shocked if there was some type of carve-out or cutout, and I have no knowledge of this, that someone like a Mountain West champion in the future, specifically San Diego State, could potentially get into this game. Now, this is about selling hotel rooms. So San Diego State isn't the ideal fit from that perspective, but in terms of selling tickets, San Diego State works for it. But right now it's Pac-12 against ACC. It won't be in 2 years. Pac-12 won't exist the way it does now. So they'll have to find another conference to tie into the Holiday Bowl in 2 years.
Tell me if I'm wrong.
You're wrong.
Okay. How many times has Hawaii played in the Hawaii Bowl?
Oh, tons.
A lot?
Dozen, maybe more.
Okay. Because I'm just thinking of like areas that have a bowl game, or even stadiums that these college teams play and have bowl games. How many times do those teams actually play like in those games?
It was, some of them were made for their like quote unquote home team.
Okay.
Poinsettia Bowl had San Diego State multiple times. Hawaii Bowl has had the Rainbow Warriors multiple times. I don't know if on the blue, if Boise State's played in their bowl game at Albertson Stadium on the blue, the Boise Idaho Potato Bowl. I'm not sure if
Also,
they've played it.
think the Holiday Bowl is a step up from those bowl games. Like if you're talking about,
it's been around for 45 years. I mean, BYU won a national championship at the Holiday Bowl.
Yeah. For me, we know the top tier bowl games, okay, which are turning into playoff games. Okay. I would put the Holiday Bowl right below those games that aren't playoff bowls.
So, like, would you say, because I agree, would you say on par with like Alamo Bowl?
Isn't Alamo Bowl in the?
It's not in the playoff.
Oh, no, that's the Cotton Bowl.
Like Capital One Bowl in Florida on January 1st, Outback Bowl.
Yeah.
Like it's been in that category in its history. They've had some amazing teams playing it. I mean, BYU played in it at the onset, won a national championship in it, whenever that was, 70s or 80s. So it's had some storied programs. It's had some big time games.
I would put the Holiday Bowl again in a tier that is below, obviously,
the playoff
bowl games. But it is, I would say, when I think of bowls and you say Holiday Bowl, I'm like, oh yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Holiday Bowl.
Yeah,
like,
especially in San Diego.
It's a very recognizable bowl.
No doubt. What do you got, Brent?
Hawaii Bowl started in 2002, and Hawaii has been in it 9 times.
Yeah, so every other year.
Okay.
So
Hawaii's in,
Bueller.
But that makes sense because they're on the islands.
But also, my point is, like, no offense to the Hawaii Bowl, it's not on par with the Holiday Bowl.
They're the Chaminade of football.
So,
right, because you don't have like the Holiday Bowl has had Michigan playing it.
Yeah,
and Michigan State and USC.
Right, big time games, big time schools.
Right.
So from that standpoint, I'm thinking like it's not really like a bowl that you would create for like the hometown team like the Aztecs.
That was more poinsettia. Is that where you had the Mountain West tie-in with the poinsettia the week before the holiday?
Yeah. So for me, if you're saying the Aztecs would play in the Holiday Bowl, they would need to have like a
really good season,
insanely good season to be in it, and not just be like, oh, they're 7-5, so they're in the Holiday Bowl.
Well, you're probably right, but there's bowls that have carve-outs beyond leagues. Now we're getting into the weeds, but I mean that's another conversation. Whether bowl games aren't as topical as they were 20 years ago, that's probably fair. But the truth is, people watch them on TV. There's revenue. There's sponsorships, title sponsorship, DirectTV. There's 30,000 people in the building. That's a lot of revenue. The teams are getting paid to appear in these games. You know what I mean? Like the system exists. It's making people money.
Yeah.
Therefore, until it's not, I don't think there'll be anyone to really rock the boat.
and there's not a 70,000 seat stadium here in San Diego anymore. So
And you
gotta
don't need
work,
one.
You got to work with what you got.
Well, what would a 70,000 seat stadium have to do with this?
I'm just
You know
saying,
what I mean?
like from an attendance standpoint, if you were looking to, the Holiday Bowl needs more people there. Okay, but
Did you ever go with the queue?
the queue was not full.
You went to the Holiday Bowl, right? At some point?
Well,
You
I remember the game you called. It was like Iowa
I
and
called 2 at the queue. There was Iowa SC. There was Northwestern Utah.
I wasn't Iowa
probably-
SC pretty full.
And no more than
Ish.
40 something.
Okay,
Yeah, which is a big crowd. But again, 70,000. I mean,
you're not
come
kidding, you're
on.
not
How,
kidding.
how many bowl games could even
You're-
draw 70,000?
You're only doing 70,000 for national championship game, and that's kind
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah, the college football playoff.
Yeah.
Again, you were at Charger games. I mean, there were nights where the place, if it was filled, wasn't only filled with I mean, 70,000 is a big number.
Yeah. If you get 35 plus at Snapdragon, then
That's massive.
it's gonna.
Well, you can't draw more than that.
And I did. There were a lot of empty seats at Petco Park for the Holiday Bowl.
Yeah, there's some, but I mean, you're still. But they did announce like 35K.
Yeah, it's just the dimensions are like you said, just a little
It's
different
wonky.
when it's in a football stadium and everything is on the field wise. It's like it just was a weird setup. But
Yeah,
I mean, it
wouldn't
was
be-
cool seeing to see Petco Park turn into a football field.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if Petco had future college football games because they now have it outfitted where they can do it. I also wouldn't be surprised if Snapdragon Stadium had potentially a second bowl in the future or additional neutral site, quote unquote, football games other than San Diego State home games.
Well, it's great that for people out there that were questioning Snapdragon Stadium, this place sucks, or this place isn't equipped to hold like premier events. That's not a great day for you, probably.
I mean, it's crazy from Major League Soccer, National Women's Soccer, international friendlies. I think some world competitions that have been staged. I forget exactly what they were.
Yeah,
I mean, they've had a lot of high profile events,
they just had the
concerts.
the NWSL
Championship.
They had, I think,
There was a U.S.
U.S.
men's
women-
national team game, wasn't there?
I think there was, or women's,
I think both.
both at Snapdragon. Yeah, it's holding a lot of events, guys. A lot of events.